Hello and welcome everyone to It's All Connected, the Marvel, DC, Star Wars recap show here on the Illuminerdi. I'm your host Bryce West, a writer and editor for the Illuminerdi.com, and these are my co-hosts.
What's up, guys? Richard Nevins here, another writer for the Illuminerdi, the kind of Marvel guy at the site, but I write about everything, and got a good show today.
Hey everybody, Caitlin Tyrrell, writer at the Illuminerdi. Really excited. We've got a lot of news.
Oh yeah, we've got a fantastic show planned for you guys today. Thomas Franco and Tester Cantlin, I hope I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat, everyone tuning in, and yeah, like I said, we've got an epic show planned for you guys. And what do you guys say? Should we just start right on in with Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yeah, I mean we got so much to talk about. Obviously, we're going to start with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but we've got so much to talk about. I mean, Avengers Campus, What If, She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, Sony. You know, for DC, we've got Sinestro to talk about, Black Adam, Shazam 2. Got a couple of Star Wars stories we're talking about later on, too. But, wow, that last Falcon episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one was intense. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I didn't get a chance to see it till a few hours ago. So I'm pretty fresh.
Okay.
On this episode, and I knew that something really messed up happened at the end, because I've seen the images of John Walker with the bloodied shield. Spoilers, by the way.
Yes, spoiler alert.
And like, so I was on the edge of my seat the whole episode, going like, when is shit gonna hit the fan? And so I was constantly just like terrified, like, is this it? Is this when he breaks? Yeah, they've been doing a great job. I feel like I've said, I'm a broken record at this point. Like, I've said it a million times how well of a job they've done with John Walker, Captain America, but they have really done this character justice in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Of course, he's not supposed to be a good guy. I mean, really, the Power Broker is the bad guy, but are they? Like, you know, because John Walker is the person that we've been dealing with throughout the whole show, whereas Power Broker is more of a behind-the-scenes figure, definitely Sharon Carter. But
No, Bryce, Sharon Carter is Mephisto. Come on.
Oh, right, yes, I forgot. Yeah. Either that or Don Cheadle. We don't know. But
let us know in the chat
yeah,
what you think Mephisto is. Like, I'm kind of curious now.
But yeah, I think John Walker especially really shined in this episode, and as we see, he's pretty much full heel turn in this episode. I mean, obviously he had really turned heel like within the second episode, but this is where he like really goes bad. And so,
well, we knew something was going to happen just before the episode even started, based on the title. The whole world is watching. I remember when we saw that, we all went, "Oh no," because that's really never good, you know.
Yeah. When the whole world is watching something, that usually can't mean anything good.
Unless it's the Olympics.
Yeah.
Unless it's the Olympics. Exactly.
We didn't think that was going to be coming.
See, I didn't know that was the episode title. I usually try to stay away from episode titles because, I don't know, like with the Super Sentai show that I do, one of the episodes that we're covering next week is literally character dies. And so, you know, sometimes
they suck.
Yeah.
Marvel's been pretty on top of their titles, though. They had in WandaVision, they were very much referencing kind of like the TV show aspect of it, whereas it's been pretty solidly kind of a hint of what we're getting. Episode 3 it was called Power Broker, even though we maybe didn't meet Power Broker in there. It very much showed.
Episode 2 was Star Spangled Man, I think.
Right, yes, that was excellent. But we got the message that Power Broker is important, and with this, the whole world was watching. We knew something was going to happen. Yeah. We assumed it was going to be John Walker because he was due. He was due for something to happen with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been
Tester. Sorry to interrupt, but Tester in the chat says shined with murder. Is just like, yeah, okay. Obviously John Walker, but did a very bad thing. But you know, that's part of his character. You know, we were we knew that at some point John Walker was going to go crazy, and I think John Walker was definitely the star of the episode because of that, because of his complete turn to complete insanity. We see him take the serum. We see him whenever Lamar dies. We see him go full crazy, and I think that was a really cool moment to see in the episode. So obviously, no, him murdering somebody, it wasn't a good thing. Yeah. But I think it was a a good thing to see for us as fan with the character, because obviously John Walker is supposed to be this very not good guy. Right. Yes, it was the moment we were waiting for.
And I think another cool thing about the John Walker thing, relating it back to Sam, this episode, I think more so than the others, proved to us who should be Captain America, why
he chose Sam.
Exactly. Like, the whole scene with Zemo and, hypothetically speaking, would you take the serum? And Sam just flat out, no. And then I love the dichotomy of it between Lamar and John Walker, too, before, R.I.P. Battlestar, just starting to love him.
Yeah. I've liked him from the start. He's so the way he kind of plays off him, because even when John Walker's trying to start trouble with Bucky and Sam, you got Battlestar there going, "What are you doing, man?" Like, that's his face entire
And I will say, it's not even a Battlestar moment, but my favorite moment of the series so far is Battlestar, stop the car.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it was incredible though, because we mentioned it last week that Battlestar was the only person keeping John together, and so we were talking about what would he do in a potential U.S. agent spinoff? That wouldn't make any sense, but now it does, because Battlestar needed to die for John Walker to completely go crazy. And John Walker needs to completely go crazy for somebody maybe like Sam become Captain America by the end of the show, So I feel like everything is really leading. I mean, we already knew this from the start, but I mean, everything is leading to John Walker getting the mantle stripped away from him, and then Sam's gonna be like, okay, well, that was a mistake. I'll take that, and
we talked a little bit about it on the watch along of what the consequences will probably be for John Walker's attack. And there's three areas of consequences with this. There's the public perception, there's the U.S. government's reaction, and then there's Sam and Bucky. Personally, I think the U.S. government is going to spin it in their favor. I think they're going to back it. Public perception, I think, is going to be in the U.S. It's he killed a terrorist. Most other places, it's, oh my God, he just murdered someone with the shield. And then you're going to have Sam and Bucky. I think this is one of those big moments for Sam of, okay, I made a mistake. Because like you said, Richard, this really was the episode where we saw, oh, this is why he was chosen. This is why Sam should be Captain America. Not because he's Steve 2.0. Because Steve was very intelligent, he was very empathetic and compassionate, but he did go into a lot of situations kind of punchy,
A little punchy, yeah.
Yeah, Sam doesn't do that. Sam goes into the situation to meet Carly and has really no intention of fighting with her. He goes in, he empathizes with her, he understands her cause. He's just saying, your approach is wrong. And he actually gets her to admit things that she herself hasn't realized yet.
He was this close.
Yes, right?
This close.
Yeah. And the other thing that was so fascinating to me about John Walker is this is someone who's supposed to be, well-trained soldier, special forces. He can't wait 10 minutes.
Right?
He's twitchy after 2 minutes. Everyone else in the room is calmly sitting there, and he's like, no, this is wrong. It's going wrong. And he's already envious of Bucky with the super soldier serum because he's saying this must be so easy for you because you have the serum coursing through your veins. It's like...
He just went full douche this episode.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's trying to order Bucky and Sam around. He's busting in, saying, I'm taking control of Zemo. It was 100% power trip. It was this entitlement. It was the fact that he wasn't getting anywhere and they actually were, and they were in front of him. Mm-hmm. And then one of the best scenes in the episode, the freaking Dora Milaje just kicking his ass.
Yes! That was
if
great.
I felt bad for anyone in that scene, honestly, it was Battlestar. Battlestar standing there. They pop in and two of them just start beating him. I'm like, did he get involved at all before they started punching him?
Looking strong, John.
Right? That was great. and then Bucky getting his arm taken off. I know there were people on Twitter who thought it was, like, I guess disrespectful and like cold-hearted by Wakanda to have put that in. But I actually would argue that it 100% makes sense, because you got someone who can turn against you with the brainwashing thing. You also have someone who you definitely took a risk on helping him, and he's an outsider. And understandably, Wakanda does not trust outsiders, because that has usually gone poorly for them.
Yeah, and can I just say too, before you go, Bryce, the look on Sebastian Stan's face when the arm fell, he looked offended that the arm. He's like, "You did this to me."
Yeah.
How could you?
Where the question really is, how could you help Helmut Zemo, who murdered their king, and then
that.
Like, that was my moment for Bucky, where I'm like, yes, John Walker is 100% on the entitlement train. Bucky's sort of right there, though. A lot of what Bucky's doing is wrong, and he should know it, and he probably does know it, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, Tester in the chat, in reference to John Walker, says, yeah, so he's like the Winter Soldier. Do you guys think that Hydro could have ended up hypnotizing John Walker so it wasn't his actual reaction? No, he's just a terrible person.
Yeah, I'm a terrible person.
You know, this isn't nothing like the Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier, Bucky was brainwashed. You know, John Walker is just crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
John
Bucky even says in the episode, before John Walker's taken the serum, I know crazy. I'm crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he said that there's something off about that guy. We've known it since the start. I mean, even the scene we're supposed to empathize with him in the second episode, his first scene, you got Paddlestar right there saying you can't punch your way out of situations, and explaining that the job is not just fighting. The job of Captain America is the public aspect. You are a symbol. So the fact that he didn't understand that, to me, was a giant red flag from the start.
Yeah, and then one other scene that I really want to mention, I don't know how much more we're going to talk about this, but Bucky in that opening scene, the flashback to Wakanda. Yes. I mean, we were talking about maybe an Emmy train for Elizabeth Olsen in WandaVision. Start one for Sebastian Stan in this series. For that scene in particular, the way he acted that out when he was hearing the trigger words, absolutely perfect.
The editing was really excellent on it, too, because it really added to the impact with the way that they had those. You kind of saw the flashbacks in his head.
Loved that.
Tester says maybe the serum has side effects because it wasn't the same as the Rogers serum. Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. They were kind of talking about that throughout the show.
Well, the serum has always had side effects. Since the beginning, the serum has had the side effect of it brings out what's already there. John Walker wasn't... Right, John Walker was never... So, the essence of Captain America, as we understand it in First Avenger, picking the right Captain America is not about picking the best soldier. It's about picking a good man. That's not what they did. When they chose the new Captain America, they chose someone that was the best soldier.
By far.
My argument with that even goes down to the fact that his explanation of jumping on a grenade. When Steve jumps on a grenade, he thinks it's live. He just curls his entire body around and is pretty sure he's about to die. When John Walker talks about having jumped on a grenade, he says he's done that 3 times and he's got a reinforced helmet. Which to me, it was 3 or 4 times. He's got a reinforced helmet. It takes away the whole sacrifice aspect of it.
It just makes it sound cool or whatever.
Right. It's like, well, I know I'm going to be fine, so I do that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scene in the first Avenger where Steve jumps on the grenade is probably single-handedly the best scene in the MCU, because you cannot watch a single Marvel movie before, after, never again, but you watch that one scene and you know who Steve Rogers is. You know what kind of person and what kind of hero,
character-defining moment
Steve Rogers he is gonna be. So I feel like, I really like the comparison between the two, because it really shows that John Walker had no idea what kind of person Steve was, because he's like, oh yeah, I hopped on 3 grenades. How many, Steve did 1. It's just like, no, but it's not the same thing. And as Caitlin just said, nowadays, did they have reinforced helmets back in World War II? I don't think so.
Probably not.
right? So you couldn't just jump on a grenade and cover it up. Like Steve jumped on the grenade because he thought it was gonna blow up, and so. Yeah, I think that I just wanted to highlight like how amazing that scene is in the first Avenger. But yeah, I really love how opposite they have made John Walker. Like it's literally just like, okay, we've got Steve Rogers, and now let's just do the complete opposite person. With John Walker, and it works perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a great villain.
Well, another way they showed that was the reaction to Lamar Hoskins dying. So Steve had the same thing happen. Bucky died in battle right next to him. He was obviously devastated. He didn't all of a sudden get crazy vicious and start torturing people or attacking Nazis like in a more vicious way than normal. Whereas the second that happens with John Walker, he loses it. He goes after one of the Flag Smashers who isn't wearing the mask, so the public doesn't know he's a Flag Smasher. It's not the one that killed Lamar Hoskins, and the guy is on the ground with his hands up after getting smashed in the face like 3 times by the shield before just fully beats him to death with the shield. That's another, like,
brutal.
At every turn, there are aspects of this character where him and Steve do certain things similarly on a surface level. They both go rogue, they both have a partner, they're both soldiers. But the second you go down to like the secondary layer of the character, complete opposites.
And another example for First Avenger 2 is right after Steve got the serum, the German guy killed Erskine, who Steve had, he's not Bucky obviously, but he had developed a bond with over the few weeks that they were together. And I mean, Steve went after the guy for sure, but he wasn't looking to kill him, not even sort of.
Yep. Well, and I think hilariously, John Walker and Carly Morgenthau are perfect examples of why you have to think for a moment, is Helmut Zemo right?
Yeah.
Because Zemo
makes a great question.
So many excellent points about why super soldiers are dangerous. And yes, the argument has always been, but Steve Rogers. Except looking at the history of the super soldier serum, Steve Rogers is an outlier.
The exception.
Right. Even Helmut Zemo admits it when Bucky says, well, what about Steve? Okay, has there been another one? No. So to me, Helmut Zemo is such an interesting villain because you have to ask yourself, is he totally wrong? Just flat out murdering a bunch of people, yeah, that's wrong. But is his actual, the motivation behind the mission completely wrong?
I think his whole thing in the show, before you go, Bryce, is he's out of line, but he's right.
Yep.
One thing that Sam said to him on the plane in episode 3.
Yep.
Jezer is in the chat. What's going on, Jezer? If it were me and my best friend, and my best friend was killed, I don't know how I would react. And that was actually something I had to think about too, Jezer. After the episode, and it's a really interesting thought. What would I do in John Walker's shoes if my best friend was killed right next to me? How am I going to react to that? And hopefully I never have to explore that scenario in real life, but it's just just like it really makes you think, like, would I do what John Walker did?
I would pose the question with that scenario is, should you have the super soldier serum?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
because the question of what you would do in that situation, I don't know what I would do either. I also don't think I should be a super soldier.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I definitely don't think I should be a super soldier, as much as I would like to be a little bigger. No, that, I mean, it's just really, I think that's an impossible question to answer, because of course I wouldn't, want to just say, yeah, I'm gonna kill somebody, but my best friend is now dead and killed right next to me, so. It's just like...
But would you kill someone that you did it... Like, he knew that wasn't the person that killed Hoskins.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, no. I don't think I would...
Also,
scenario.
I would just like to point out, the second that guy said he was a Captain America fan, in my head I went, oh, you're gonna die.
You did. No, I totally remember you saying that on the live watch. Like, well, he's screwed.
Yep. Like, that's the kind of revelation where you're just like... No, that's too perfect. That makes you too nice.
Getting
killed by
Captain
your
America.
hero is just the perfect ending for that. Yeah, no, I thought this was such a good episode. And then we had Sharon Carter being sketchy as ever.
Oh, yeah. We didn't get her much, but she was sketchy.
He had access to at least one satellite, and the piece of that was even more interesting to me than the access to a satellite. She had a tracker that was labeled Tracker 1, and she knew it was John Walker. How? Is that a U.S. satellite? How do you have that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she was literally only in that episode to go, oh yeah, so she's power broker.
I mean, she was, even when she talked to Sam, she was more concerned with getting the super soldier serum back than stopping a terrorist.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's something weird going on, but I can't wait to find out what it is.
Real quick, Jezzer, once again, says, I feel like the super soldier serum was fresh in his blood if he had waited for a while before going straight in. Maybe things would have gone different. Maybe.
He should have said Martha.
Yeah, he should have said Martha.
I swear, if anybody says Martha in a movie again, it's just like, oh my god.
I don't think it would have gone differently, just because from what we've seen, it doesn't seem like the potency changes how you react to things. It's kind of just, it's that thing of, it brings out what's already there. And then one of the lines that I love that's connected to that was when Dr. Erskine was talking about how a weak man who has compassion and knows the value of strength isn't going to
abuse the power.
Abuse the power, right. John Walker's never been a weak man. And that doesn't necessarily mean physically weak like Steve or emotionally weak, because please don't give a super soldier serum to someone that's emotionally weak. It can just mean someone that isn't in a position of power. It's another reason I think Sam is such a great pick for Captain America, because he's not weak, but he hasn't grown up in a position of power.
Totally.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait. I mean, believe it or not, there's only 2 episodes left of this show. That's crazy to think about.
Right.
Hopefully, I'm hoping we get a season 2, whether it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier or Captain America and the Falcon, because, Torres is a thing, and Torres becomes Falcon in the comics. That kind of makes me worried, though, about Bucky a little bit. Because they've introduced the second Falcon. Right. This guy becomes Sam Wilson's sidekick.
Torres, yeah.
And of course I never expected Bucky to become Sam's sidekick, but he would be the secondary. So I also don't see them having Captain America, Hawking, Torres, is that right? Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I don't see them having all 3. I feel like it's going to be a duo.
I'm interested to see what with Bucky and Zemo, because Sam flat out asked Zemo if he was going to kill Bucky, and Zemo didn't answer.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be really good. Plus,
I'm worried about
There's
Bucky.
Still that trailer scene that we haven't seen yet of Bucky pointing the gun right at Zemo's face in front of that memorial, and then all the bullets falling out. That was like in the Super Bowl trailer from last year. So
there's a lot of trailer scenes we haven't seen, and they had a new trailer drop earlier this week that showed John Walker looking at Bucky and Sam in this warehouse, kind of going, "You don't want to do this," and them saying, "Yeah, we do." So I feel like we're gonna finally get that moment of them reclaiming the shield in the next episode. I'm hoping.
I hope so.
Yeah. No, it's 2 episodes. It's gonna be crazy. I mean, we're gonna have to find out what happens with Flag Smashers and Carly Morgenthau, because. Like, they already seemed like they were going full terrorist, and I feel like this is not going to help.
Yeah. And then one more thing I wanted to mention before we go on is, I love the fact that with the Carly scene with Sam, they took it back to his first appearance in Winter Soldier, where he was working at the VA helping veterans, with PTSD, and they went back to him doing that with Carly, and I love the character development there, and that they kept that going.
100%. That was, for me, one of 3 scenes in this episode that really proved Sam deserves shield. Because we've always known, Steve saw that in him, but when Sam handed it off and really wouldn't explain why, you had that little bit of a moment of, should he be Captain America? Not because he doesn't deserve it, but because if he doesn't want it, then is he going to be the right person? But this episode, he proved it when he talked to Carly, when he explained why he doesn't want the serum, and when he went toe-to-toe with Zemo, philosophically. Mm-hmm. That's not an easy thing to do with a character like Zemo, who is all about, I know what I want, you're not going to dissuade me.
Totally.
Yeah, but real quick, again, before we move on, do we think that we're going to see the Sam Wilson Captain America suit in the last episode, because we did get that toy leak.
Yeah, I would say
You know.
I mean the toy leak is kind of the only reason I would assume we're
Yeah.
gonna get it.
Yeah.
I'd say like 55% yes, 45% no. That's
We could
how
see
close
it in
is.
a like post credit scene maybe.
I could see that. Yeah, post credit
Yeah.
scene leading to something else.
Jezzer in the chat says I'm scared for Isaiah. I'm a little bit too.
I'm nervous.
I'm hoping. My ideal happy ending for Isaiah, I think, is him getting the recognition and kind of being in that like part of Steve's Captain America.
Maybe the Medal of Honor or something.
Yeah, like the Smithsonian, like being
Yeah.
remembered as a hero. The only like 5% of me that's worried about that too is, oh, I don't want him to be a target again, because you know there's gonna be super soldier serum people, and he's the ideal target.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. I want to see more Isaiah Bradley for sure. I think Sam would be an excellent mentor for Eli Bradley, because Brax talked about it last week that he was mentored in the comics by Captain America, right? Wasn't that right, Richard?
I think so. Yeah.
So Sam being his mentor would be just fantastic. Or
Alrighty,
Bucky.
well,
That's a good point, Jezzer. Bucky would be cool too.
Either way.
Yeah, that'd be that'd be really cool, actually. I think that would actually be a really great way to have Sam Wilson, Captain America, Falcon, and then Bucky, Winter Soldier, White Wolf, whatever you want to call him, and Patriot.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool.
Because
Like
they got to set
both
up
duos.
Patriot somehow for the Young Avengers stuff that they're doing eventually.
But I think Bucky burned his bridges with Wakanda as White Wolf. I don't see that.
He might have. He might have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we will have to wait and see. So, is that about everything that we have for Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think so. There's going to be a big character popping in for the next episode. We don't know who it is,
Yep.
but
I
that
just
should
can't
be
wait for these
exciting.
last 2 episodes. It's gonna be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to find out what happens
well.
with Flag Smasher. We got to find out what happens with Power Broker,
Walker.
John Walker, Bucky
Carter.
and Sam, Zemo, Sharon Carter. Like, there's so much.
We're in 2 episodes.
Well, it looks like the Avengers campus is coming to Disneyland, Disney World. Which one
Disneyland.
was it?
Or, California
Disney-
Adventure.
California Adventure at
Yep.
the Disneyland Parks Resort, essentially.
Yes.
It's only about a year late.
You know, it was really funny. Just real quick story before we get into it. One of the last things I did before everything shut down pandemic-wise last year, I was at Disneyland with my brother, and we saw Avengers Campus being built, like in its earliest stages. And I just remember thinking to myself, I can't wait to go there, you know, whenever it happens. Then everything shuts down and we're a year later. But
Yeah, I think it was supposed to open July last year, so
something like that, yeah.
11 months late, but we're getting
Right.
there. It's gonna
Can't-
be.
I mean, the weird thing about that is that, I mean, you would think, I mean, with nobody at the park, that would be the perfect time to build something like Avengers Campus. I mean, I don't know if they were worried about, you know, the construction, there being too many construction workers
Probably.
there. But for me, I feel like that'd be the perfect time to start construction on something. But because, I mean, where I live, they were doing renovations on the high school I went to, and they went like full throttle into the renovations whenever COVID hit, because there was no kids there.
We also have to remember that this Disney didn't have really much of a profit coming in at the time. So if I was them,
they
I'd
didn't
be off.
even open the parks till what, like a couple weeks ago or something?
Well, Disneyland isn't open yet.
Oh, right. No, it doesn't open till the end of this month, I think. Right?
Disneyland and California Adventure are set to open April 30th, with Avengers Campus opening June 4th. So, yeah, we had Disneyland open for over a year.
Over a year.
And Disney World has been open, but it's limited capacity and during the pandemic. So Disney didn't have as much of an income at the time. So I would not be shocked if they were holding off.
Yeah,
But
and I mean, but Avengers
finish.
Campus, is going to be awesome. There's a Spider-Man ride, like Astro Blasters. There's a Doctor Strange exhibit. There's a Ant-Man and the Wasp restaurant.
And a shawarma cart.
That's fun.
A what?
A shawarma cart.
Yes, a shawarma cart. That'll be great. No, Avengers Campus is going to be awesome. I'm so excited to check it out when it finally comes.
Yep. And then you have, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy ride that's already there and is a complete blast. Like, that is probably one of my favorite rides there. And they got the music. That's awesome.
Everything for me was great about it, except for the ride itself. Apparently, my stomach can't handle those kind of rides because I was about to pass out the second I got off that ride. So if you can handle it, more power to you, because that was a rough go for me. But great ride.
You stick with the Spider-Man ride. You stick with the Spider-Man ride.
Spider-Man ride will be much more my speed.
Tester in the chat says, my birthday is today and a dust storm is happening where I live. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Tester, but I hope you're having a happy birthday nonetheless.
Yeah.
Dust storm definitely doesn't sound fun.
Well, we've got some other exciting Marvel news with Sony having all of their content be available on Netflix after being in theaters exclusively starting in 2022. So it's not going to cover the upcoming Spider-Man movie, which is a Sony Marvel hybrid, and it's not going to cover the next Venom movie. What is it, Venom with Carnage?
Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Let There Be Carnage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it won't cover those, but it will cover Morbius, and then I'm sure that we'll have the Venom movie pop over there, when the deal starts.
Spider-Verse 2. So.
Yep. That's what I'm excited for.
And Spider-Verse 1 is already on Netflix, right?
I don't know if it still is. It was for a while, but I think it was taken off. So my guess is it'll get put back up.
Which Into the Spider-Verse, I think, might be my favorite Spider-Man movie ever.
Oh, it's definitely mine, for sure. Like, not even a question.
That's the movie that kind of made me go, why haven't we been doing animated movies for comic book movies?
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It was
that's
so good.
So fantastic.
Seriously.
I'm curious what's going to happen with the Spider-Man movies that are owned by Sony and Marvel. Like this new Spider-Man movie, because I'm assuming it will be on Disney+. But maybe it's going to be both.
Well, the other ones aren't. Yeah. Homecoming and Far From Home aren't on Disney+.
Yeah, those and Incredible Hulk aren't on there because Hulk's owned by Universal. So it'll be interesting to pay attention to.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're going to do with that.
Me neither.
Because right now, I think they're only streaming on Starz.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know if that's going to still be the place. But... yeah, I don't know. It sounds exciting though. I mean, because Sony doesn't have a streaming service, and I don't think they plan to make one. So I think for Sony, it makes a lot of sense for them to just do something with Netflix. And Richard, you say it's shocking, but I mean, think about it. I mean, they have Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
and
Sony, and they have to make a Sony everything. But
yeah, that's true. Actually, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's my only point on that. It's just that it's so.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think it's smart for them to partner with Netflix because Netflix kind of has this moment of, oh man, a lot of these guys are doing their own streaming services. We're losing some of our more theatrical releases. So Sony,
DC and HBO Max, yeah.
Yeah, so this way Netflix and Sony get to help each other out, which I'm sure was part of the point. But. Yeah. Moving on to the more Marvel Central Studio stuff, we have new information about What If, the highly anticipated Marvel animated series that's coming out. Right. So it's been reaffirmed, I believe, that What If will be coming this summer, which is exciting because my guess is probably sometime in July or August, I'm assuming, since we have Loki popping in June and Bad Batch will probably still be going on, so then adding a second Marvel show seems insane.
Yeah, well, I did the math on when Loki's supposed to end. If you do 6 weeks of Loki and then an episode of Assembled, that would mean that What If would probably start either July, 30th, or August 6th. One of those two, I'm betting. And that's just complete speculation on that.
Yes, this is speculation bias, 100%. This is not at all
total guesswork. I know nothing.
But what's not guesswork is they have a new poster.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we see Peggy Carter as Captain England.
Captain Britain.
Captain Britain, which is very cool. And that actually reminds me of that moment we were talking about earlier with Steve Rogers jumping on the grenade. Peggy Carter runs towards it. Everyone else dodges, she runs towards it. So her becoming Captain Britain totally tracks for me. That's an awesome What If episode that I'm so excited for. We also have T'Challa as Star-Lord, and both of these we already knew were coming, but that just hits a little harder in the heart.
Yep.
That one's going to be so emotional when it comes.
Yeah. We also in the poster have Killmonger, Gamora, Black Widow, Thor, who we know from merchandise that has been teased is going to be something called Party Thor. Not 100% sure what that means, but should be.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I'm betting it's going to be a lot of Sakaar stuff, because that would be awesome. I would love more animated Sakaar.
Honestly, with Party Thor, I don't even think I need context for that. I'm just like,
give us Party
okay.
Thor and see what happens.
Whatever.
Just
Party
release
Thor.
it into the
Let's
wild.
Just every time he shows up, you have like music and pyrotechnics. That's Party Thor.
Totally.
Yeah.
We also have Doctor Strange, and he looks, based on the trailer where we saw 2 versions of Doctor Strange fighting each other, this looks like more of the kind of evil, or like the evil Doctor Strange, so that's exciting. And we have the Watcher, who's kind of going to be our guide through this multiverse of possibilities. And under the group of characters, it says Guardians of the Multiverse. Now, is this teasing a new team? Is this just kind of a marketing thing? We don't know, but it should be super exciting to find out. I'm so excited for this show.
That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a team of weird, not really misfit, but misplaced. Maybe is a better word. Yeah, mixed matched. There we go. Characters that like form together in one single team. It honestly sounds like something DC would do. They haven't, of course, but you know, I'm not gonna.
We're not on DC yet. We're not on DC yet.
Yep, yeah, that'll be another
rabbit
hour.
hole for another day.
I'll try to refrain. Yep. But it sounds awesome.
Well, if it is a team,
to say the least.
If it is a team, it looks like it would have Killmonger and T'Challa on the same team.
Right?
So
yeah, but T'Challa would be Star-Lord, right?
But it's still Killmonger. Let's
Yeah, that's true.
Just
wild
speculation. Let's say this Killmonger is a version that actually won in the fight against Black Panther, and then he Star-Lord takes his helmet off and it's T'Challa. Killmonger just goes nuts.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You know what? Just in general, I cannot wait for this series. I mean, there's been rumors that this could introduce some canon stuff into the MCU. I don't know about that, but Marvel going animated and doing all these crazy weird stories, based off Infinity Saga stuff. I am all in on it.
I mean, why would they have it a part of Phase 4 if it wasn't going to have stuff canon to the MCU? You know, is my kind of thing.
Well, what if
wouldn't they just make it its own separate thing?
I don't think so. I mean, Marvel has a plan, and What If has been a pretty established anthology series in the Marvel Comics world. So if it's not necessarily connected, I wouldn't be shocked. I think the show that could eventually maybe tie into it would be Loki, because Loki's already jumping around.
Absolutely.
That could especially be the case because it's coming out right before What If.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think that was an accident either. Loki comes out right before What If. Exactly.
Yeah,
I think the only accident was how good it got, but even that.
It's all connected, right? So,
the Marvel accident was that WandaVision came out first and Black Widow has to wait to come out while Loki's going. And honestly, I don't think it has really had any negative impacts. So their accident has worked out just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I'm so excited for What If. I love the concept. I love that we're going to get to see these characters that we all love, hate, just are attached to in some way, get totally flipped on their head in one way or another. I mean, having Peggy Carter as Captain Britain is just the most cool thing to me, because we do get that moment of, she has that same heart that Steve does. What if she was the one that actually got the super soldier serum? We get to see T'Challa again, which... yes, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And plus the fact that I think just about everybody from the MCU is coming back to voice their roles. I mean, that is so cool.
Well, and it looks like we'll have Tony Stark again too, based on the trailer.
Yeah.
And Cap.
Do you think? Now it would be really crazy. Do you think it's possible for us to see Tom Holland in this as Spider? Because Marvel does own the TV rights for Spider-Man. So is that possible? I mean, do you think that's something that we could see in What If at some point?
I think we could see Tom Holland as a different character.
I have heard that, I don't know which way it would go, but I've heard something about maybe Peter Parker and Hawkeye being switched up somehow. That was one I wrote.
That sounds familiar.
That's an odd one.
Yeah, I think somebody like maybe
but it's what if
image
so.
of it or something.
That's
but...
the entire description of the show.
Yeah,
that's an odd one.
Yeah.
Seriously, but no, this series is going to be so cool.
Well, speaking of Captain America, Richard, we're gonna get zombie Captain America.
Yes, zombie Cap. Bring on zombie Cap.
Poor Bucky. He's gonna have to deal with zombie Cap. He already has so many problems. Now he sees his best friend as a zombie.
Seriously.
That feels like the moment that could be canon, because that would just be of course Bucky has to deal with this moment.
Oh God, here we go. Like at this point, it doesn't even shock him.
Right? What could be interesting too is if they introduce some of the newer characters in What If. Like, what if we got She-Hulk popping up in What If before we see them?
Shang Chi or Miss Marvel or something. Yeah.
That could be very cool.
Could
but
be.
Yeah. No, we're gonna see some of our favorite characters come back again, but in very strange ways. So that's
super strange
and super exciting.
No, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I am so pumped for what, especially if they do sort of like a Guardians of the Multiverse. Can you imagine, like, if this is a lot more than what we think it is? And this is, of course, probably me overhyping this show, going all Mephisto WandaVision on it. But
this is where we meet Mephisto.
Yeah, but
any show that actually could introduce Mephisto, I could maybe see it here.
Right?
But if that is the Guardians of the Multiverse, you know what that means? That means that we're gonna see more Chadwick Boseman than we initially thought. Because eventually they're going to team up at some point. Right. And that would just be the most amazing thing in the world to see T'Challa, Star-Lord, Chadwick Boseman, like, and actually in more than one episode of What If, because right now we're assuming that it's just going to be one episode they have, where it's just, oh, he's Star-Lord.
Right.
But can you imagine if we actually get to see him, like, in a somewhat regular role, if this is the Guardians of the Multiverse? I think that'd just be so awesome.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool. I'm leaning towards it being more of, like, individual episodes, but, I mean, why call it that? Why call it Guardians of the Multiverse? It's a weird move if you're not going to do something with it.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
either way, can't wait for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point, Bryce. And we also have some exciting news on the She-Hulk front. Another show that I am really looking forward to because it's Marvel diving into, again, an area that the Marvel Studios hasn't really traditionally dived into too much. Comedy. We had a little bit with WandaVision, but this is not the 50s, 60s, 70s sitcom style. This is the today's sitcom style as far as we can tell. Again, as far as we can tell.
As far as we can tell.
Knowing Marvel, they could totally just flip us on our heads with it, but who knows?
Yeah.
So with this legal comedy, I'm very excited about. They have some exciting casting news. We have one of the stars of Hamilton actually joining the cast.
That's cool.
Yeah, actress Renee Elise Goldsberry, and Deadline broke the news and has said that the character is named Amelia. Now, a lot of people are guessing this is a code name since there's literally no other included. I would not be shocked by that because, again, it's Marvel. They play things close to the vest. But what else is interesting about She-Hulk is it looks like they've started shooting based on the Georgia State website.
Yes.
Which is an odd place to find it, but seems reliable.
Yeah, they do film all their stuff in Atlanta mostly, so.
Yeah. So, no, I'm very excited for She-Hulk, and I'm really excited about this casting because Renee is one of my favorite actresses in Hamilton. She is one of the most difficult and most interesting songs in it, so I'm really looking forward to her, like, join the Marvel universe.
Yeah, she should be really, really good. And this show is going to be, like you said, something different. Like today's comedy mixed up with the MCU. Think like The Office and Modern Family and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's gonna be
those
weird.
couple episodes were great in WandaVision, but a whole series based off that. I remember like one of the exclusives I wrote a few months ago was on the John Krasinski type that they were casting as a coworker / possible love interest. And yeah, this show is going to be great.
No, I'm so excited. Tatiana Maslany, who's playing She-Hulk, is amazing. First off, she's just fantastic in the show Orphan Black, where she plays about a bajillion characters. in each episode. But she also had a short run on Parks and Rec for, I think, a 2-episode arc, and she was amazing. And Parks and Rec has a stacked comedy-based cast.
When? Hold up. That's my favorite show.
I think season 6.
For a little bit?
Say again?
Wasn't Catherine Hahn on Parks and Rec too for a little bit?
Yeah,
yes,
she was.
And she was also amazing.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
What was she on Parks and Rec? Who did she play?
She played Tom's girlfriend for about 2 episodes. She was great. But so she totally stood up in that just like arena of comedy actors of Parks and Rec. So I'm so excited to see her really get to show off her comedy chops in this. We're going to see Abomination come back, and Tim Roth's amazing.
And Hulk's coming back, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, well, we already knew Mark Ruffalo was amazing. I'm very excited to see him pull some of the more comedic stuff, because that's always great in the Avengers. I'm really hoping it's not Professor Hulk. That's a personal opinion. He's not my favorite.
Yeah.
Kind of freaks me out.
A little bit.
Tim Roth, I'm really excited for, though. We have not seen Abomination have any sort of comedy aspect to him.
Nope.
And Tim Roth is so, he's such a good actor, and the physicality he brings to his roles. I'm just very excited to see what happens with this. And then the fact that it's a legal comedy in the Marvel Universe opens up so many possibilities, because I think it's supposed to be connected to her dealing with the Sokovia Accords. Is that what you've heard?
I haven't actually heard that, but that actually sounds like it would work really well.
Okay, then maybe that's just me making an assumption. But right, her dealing with Sokovia Accords would kind of make sense, because as we've seen a lot of people break those, like Wanda's broken them, Steve Rogers,
especially in Phase 4.
Derek Carter's on the run because she broke them. So I would really like to see kind of what happens with that. It would be very cool if we could actually see the pardons that got handed out and how that worked, because I feel like that needed to be more than everyone gets a pardon. Because how did Bucky get one? He murdered a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for this show, and I just love when Marvel dives into different genres, because just applying the superhero, kind of extra kick to genres it's so cool. We had that with Captain America: First Avenger in a war movie. We have it now with the comedy. It's just, that to me is what makes Marvel so special. So getting to see that again is very exciting.
Real quick, Tester in the chat says, She-Hulk I'm not so excited for, but I'm excited for Doctor Strange too. So it's like, yeah, I mean, not everything's going to be for everybody, you know? Yeah. I'm excited for everything. Yeah. So I guess this completely disproves what I just said. Because I have such trust in Marvel that I just know anything they put out is pretty much going to be good. I mean, Doctor Strange 2 is also going to be really exciting as well. I mean, they're going into the multiverse. And
also, Caitlin, you mentioned about not having seen any kind of comedy thing from Tim Roth. We haven't seen any of Tim Roth for what will have been, 14 years at that point. That's true. When She-Hulk comes out. So, I mean, it's been way too long since we've seen Abomination. And you know what I was just thinking, actually just now off the top of my head? I hope they get into some leader stuff with Samuel Stearns. I would love to see him come back, and if they could do that storyline again.
Well, I also would love Charlie Cox to come in.
Well, yeah.
Well, there was rumors of Jessica Jones popping up too, which would make sense since the PI. So if they're going to use any show to kind of bring in some of that Netflix stuff, this feels like the right one, because it's supposed to be kind of episodic, if I am remembering correctly. It's not.
Well, while we're at it. Sorry to interrupt, but while we're at it, do we think that we're going to see Edward Norton come back in this show?
God.
We're just getting the whole everybody from Hulk. No, it's a joke. I'm kidding. No,
he could pop up in What If.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be so funny. Well, I mentioned that in an episode way far back.
I think you did. Yeah, that was like months ago.
I either said that or in Spider-Man No Way Home, because of there was that string of time where every week there was somebody new popping up in that movie.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's just well, do we guys think that we're gonna see Edward Norton in this movie? It's just
right.
Oh man, no. Can you imagine though, if he actually? Well, let's imagine in a mystical world where
I think Watcher would see Edward Norton and go nope, and just next.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
nope.
he just shut the door on.
Yep, he looks in. He's like, nah. Next one, we're good.
I wonder what his thoughts are on all this, because I mean, he leaves, and then Avengers happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Edward Norton?
and it completely changes the film industry forever. It's just like I would really like to see an interview of him. I'm sure it exists, but I really want to see an interview of modern day Edward Norton, not 2008, but 2021 Edward Norton, and see what his thoughts are on the MCU.
Brings a different vibe to Hulk. He brings a different energy. So I honestly can't imagine Edward Norton playing.
Neither can I.
And then I love the story too that Mark Ruffalo was initially their first choice to go after for Hulk. I think the director of it, but then they wanted a bigger name or something. But I mean, imagine if we had gotten Mark Ruffalo in that first movie just for continuity purposes.
I was watching it a couple months ago, and I kept trying to imagine
Mark Ruffalo in it.
Mark Ruffalo in those scenes, and it's just so weird because I kind of can, but really can't.
It's
at the
really
same time.
hard, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, but they are still the same character, is the weird thing.
It is.
Yeah. No, I think...
It's kind of like Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
I feel like that's even harder.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
trying to imagine Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard scenes.
Yeah. Well, getting back on track to the Hulk and She-Hulk stuff, I am excited because it looks like this is kind of their gateway into more of the Hulk lore that we have been sorely missing out on. Because don't get me wrong, Hulk is awesome in all the movies he's in, but I'm so excited to see more of just the Hulk aspect of the show. It's super weird that it's a comedy for that, but I really dig it. I'm
so excited.
Tester Cantlin said that the only thing that would make him excited for She-Hulk is Abomination. Well, get excited!
Well, there you go.
Get excited, because we got Abomination.
He's coming.
Yeah, that was one of the
now he's excited. You see?
Disney Investor Day. I remember that was our second episode that we did the Disney Investor Day thing. I mean, we were going absolutely nuts over that.
Yeah, you see, last week's episode was our longest episode ever, but it wouldn't have been if we had were covering Star Wars at that time.
No.
Because it was the longest episode until the last episode, just because of how much stuff was announced. Yeah. Can you imagine, Richard, if we had covered all the Star Wars stuff too?
We would have been going all night.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been 3 hours probably. So yeah, I'm kind of glad. Yeah. We waited a couple episodes in.
Tester Cantlin also said that he thinks the What If show, they might fuse heroes like Captain America and Iron Man.
They did do that in the trailer.
I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. If you're saying kind of that they're fusing T'Challa with Star-Lord, then yes.
I think that's what he's saying.
I would love to see a Iron Man Captain America suit, but that's sort of War Machine.
Iron Patriot, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so no, I think they are doing that, which is super cool. But yeah, no, I'm excited for What If, and I'm excited for She-Hulk because they're both, obviously we've had Marvel animated shows, but this kind of feels like another
MCU
level.
Animated show.
Yeah,
yes.
MCU animated show.
We've had Marvel animation, but not MCU animation.
Yeah, and having all the MCU actors come back adds another layer to it. And yeah, She-Hulk, you got kind of the Hulk cast popping back in. I'm curious if we're going to see Thaddeus Ross pop in. That wouldn't surprise me.
I hope so.
So, yeah, no, I think both those shows are going to be very exciting. And then we have some more Shang-Chi news. Another toy leak, information-based. We had a little bit of that last week, but this week our information is actually a little more interesting, I would say. Wouldn't you guys say?
I agree. I completely agree.
We got kind of our first look, more detailed look at the Shang Chi costume, and this is through the Marvel Legends series. And it also had a little bit toys, yes, and it also had a little bit more character information for him. Trained since childhood by the mysterious Ten Rings organization, Shang-Chi must confront the past he thought he left behind when he is drawn back into his father's web. And we also got to look at his father, Wenwu, who is going to be the Mandarin.
So
That's
his
awesome.
dad is the Mandarin. That I didn't see coming at all.
Yeah.
Neither did that. Yeah, that's crazy.
So Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu, the feared leader of the Ten Rings organization, which has obviously been here since the beginning. I mean, they're the guys who kidnapped Tony Stark and Iron Man was born.
That's exactly where I was going to go next. I can't wait to see how they connect this back to Iron Man somehow. Because, the story of this, I've actually heard, is going to be in between the snap and the blip between Infinity War and Endgame. And especially with, half the world gone, that's going to be interesting. But the 10 ring stuff is going to be so, so cool because we haven't seen that since Iron Man 1.
Yeah, and our only other Mandarin is the
Trevor Slattery.
Faux Mandarin, fake Mandarin, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
My name's Trevor Slattery.
Right.
Look, that is way more entertaining now than it was, in 2013 when I first saw it, but it's still definitely a letdown.
I think if they manage to tie that, like reference that in some way, then it will be more interesting. I think if we get references, I would love to learn that, like, the 10 Rings have been pulling the strings in a lot of different corners of the MCU. Because, yes, we 100% have the connection to Iron Man, but if they've existed, not only, like, they've obviously existed in the MCU.
Like Hydra and
since
Winter Soldier.
Season. Yeah, like, if they've been around all this time, I would love to have known what they were doing to have that tie-in. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to tie it to that reveal in Iron Man 2, because otherwise it's weirder if you don't. Like, that had to have been based on the fact that the Mandarin is an actual character in the MCU.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we get that. We also had some more information about the movie based on the toy. We had a new character reveal, I believe.
Yeah, no, I think so. It was, what was it?
Death Dealer.
Death Dealer, right. I remember it was a cool name.
That's a cool name.
And the look fits the name.
Yes, with the blades and the metal and everything. Oh, man.
Yeah, you can only see about, like, this much of their face. And it's got just, like, it's face paint or makeup or something. Like, they look like a death dealer. And they're going to be one of the, like, really, really formidable opponents that Shang-Chi has to fight against. And we also learned a little bit more about his sister, Xialing.
Right.
Like, she and her brother are estranged, but when he kind of comes knocking and is like, hey, I need your help, gotta go deal with the 10 rings, she kind of has to make the decision. Is she going to help him, or is she going to stay in her kind of isolated life that she's built? Personally, if I was a Marvel character, I would shut the door. Never ends well.
Because there's at least 10 years of chaos that's been going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that you might want to just nope at.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I 100% understand the people in the Marvel Universe who are like, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I would live on a farm in the middle of nowhere like Hawkeye 2, because how else are you not going to get invaded by aliens?
Right.
But no, I'm excited for this movie. I think this is going to be a very cool movie because it introduces, again, it's an area that the MCU hasn't really, like, dove into as much. We have the martial arts. It's kind of, it's supposed to have kind of that Mortal Kombat feel, where he's got to fight all these different opponents. So,
totally.
No, this is a movie that I'm very excited for. I mean, I'm loving the MCU. I've loved it from the start, but the fact that we're really exploring these different aspects of the MCU is super exciting. We had the cosmic stuff come in with Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and now we're getting to explore different versions of it, like different aspects and areas of it on Earth.
Okay, so is that going to pretty much wrap things up for Marvel here?
Bring us all the MCU content. You know, the only thing that's going to suck is I think we're going to have a pretty big gap between end of Falcon and Winter Soldier and the start of Loki. But then the last 6 months of the year are going to be crazy.
We're going to have about 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Or 7, because we're going to have the Avengers Assembled.
Yeah.
Without an MCU show. But for all you Star Wars fans that are also MCU fans, there will be the Bad Batch. I think about a week after. Well, no, there's not going to be much of a break if you watch Assembled, because that will cover that week.
Yeah, right at the same time.
Well, we're here real quick before we move on to DC. Tester asks, can you guys do episodes on Jurassic World Dominion? Whenever the movie comes out, we could definitely do a one-off review.
We'll probably chat about it.
If that's something that people are interested in. I think that'd be kind of cool. Just kind of like a one-time kind of deal. I don't really think Jurassic Park World, whatever you want to call it, is a big enough franchise to where, there's not enough really news.
I think we can kind of have it be Marvel adjacent, since it's Chris Pratt.
And Jeff Goldblum.
No, you see, there you go.
And Sam Neill.
I mean, we're talking about the multiverse, so maybe this is just another universe where Chris Pratt hunts dinosaurs instead of travel space while listening to 80s music.
Although, just real quick, if you guys have seen Lego Movie 2, I love where they went with all that. Like the bad guy being just all of Chris Pratt's characters from other movies.
That was great.
I love that.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Well, speaking of unexpected twists, our DC side has some very unexpected news that I think Richard is really excited to talk about.
Yeah, I got to write this up over the weekend. The Green Lantern show is casting for Sinestro, which I don't think any of us saw that coming, honestly.
We knew Sinestro would be in it, but the description is not what we saw coming.
Yeah, exactly. So the description is that they're looking for a male in his 40s, any ethnicity, the greatest of all the Green Lanterns, akin to a warrior monk, personification of grace under pressure, unmatched willpower and wisdom, series regular. I mean, the interesting thing about
a dark destiny, I think, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The interesting thing about Sinestro in this series, I wrote up a feature on it too, which you can find on the Illuminerdi's website, that it seems like they're going kind of the good guy route for Sinestro at first, but I think it's because they're exploring so many different eras of history that Sinestro is probably going to have been a Green Lantern for a long, long time. Yeah. And, I mean, obviously, eventually he turns into a villain, but there's a lot of time in this series where it seems like he's going to be one of the good guys.
Well, Sinestro historically does start out as a good guy. He is one of the best Green Lanterns, and then just kind of similar to John Walker, it's that entitlement and ego that pushes through and leads
the yellow ring instead of Cap's shield.
Yeah, leads him down a dark path. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see him kind of this early version of Sinestro that I don't think we were really expecting. I mean, personally, I was expecting him to be the bad guy.
I think, it's kind of going to be sort of similar to, and I don't want to scare people off, but the Ryan Reynolds movie.
What's the same
where,
creators?
I think it's going to be kind of similar to that, to where, he starts off as a Green Lantern, but by the end of the movie or by the end of the series, he gets the yellow ring and he's going to turn on the lanterns, and I think that's going to be a really cool thing to see. I hope we actually get to see that shift, kind of like how we see, John Walker go completely mad. Yeah. I hope we see that same thing with Sinestro. John Walker, Caitlin, is the perfect comparison to this. You just did that earlier, and you know what? I think this is an incredible opportunity for this to be DC's sort of John Walker, where he starts off as a good guy. You're not really sure what to think of him because he's traditionally known as the bad guy, but then you slowly see him turn and go crazy. So I'm totally on board with this. I'm really excited to see what they do with
I'm interested to see what era he's in, because it's supposed to follow kind of 3 different eras.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see where we see him come into it. If he's in the modern era, then maybe we're really going to see that long-standing term. But if he's in one of the earlier eras, maybe it's going to come into play in season 2 where he will have turned.
I mean, we don't really know how, I don't know what race he is, but how Sinestro people age, right? So it could very well be possible that we see him in all 3.
True.
Because, I mean, I don't know how Sinestro, I mean, he could be like 1,000,000 years old. I have, so I think that'd be cool for him to be sort of like a constant throughout all 3. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like if any Green Lantern character deserves to be in like almost every episode, it would be Sinestro.
Right.
Considering he is like the Green Lantern bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be something really cool to see. And I don't even know if that's even possible. But I think it'd be cool to see him like constantly throughout each era.
Yeah, and
have him be like a consistent character.
Also, I want to give a quick shout out to the other website I write for, The Direct, who actually broke the exclusive on the multiple time periods thing in this show. So shout out to my guys at The Direct there. And
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, this show, I think this show is going to really help change people's minds on Green Lantern, because basically the only live action Green Lantern stuff that we have to go on are the Ryan Reynolds movie and the tiny, tiny bit of Snyder Cut stuff we got.
Doesn't even really count.
Which is just disappointing.
And the .05 seconds that we saw John Diggle with the ring and arrow.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah, I think what I'm excited too is it does, in the description, it does say, like, he's unmatched in willpower and wisdom. He's this warrior monk type. But, like, they already hint that he's got this darker destiny, you know? So I'm really interested to see how they play that. If it is something where, if he's throughout all three eras, is it something that we kind of see building? Or is it something that kind of very slowly throughout the show starts to appear? How exactly they pull it off is interesting. And the question now becomes, who are the actual villains of at least the first season? I mean, Richard, you wrote about that in your feature.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple interesting options that I found, at least, searching it. Now, obviously, none of this is confirmed, so don't take
it's speculation.
No, it's complete speculation on my part. And to be fair, I'm kind of learning about the Green Lantern, mythology and legacy as I go. But no, there were a couple interesting, like, classic Green Lantern villains from the comics. I'm just pulling up what I wrote there.
While you do that, we're assuming it's going to be kind of a consistent villain or antagonist throughout the first season, because having 3 different antagonists.
Oh yeah, for all different.
Feels like an odd.
Eras.
Yeah, it seems like kind of an odd move unless they're going to tie it together in some way. So this speculation is also based on the fact we think it's going to be kind of a singular villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I think, considering Sinestro is a Green Lantern, which probably means that there's not going to be a Sinestro Corps, at least in Season 1, I think the Red Lanterns would be a really good option to be the villains of Season 1. They were featured prominently in the animated series.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, they're the anger version, or anger lanterns, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I think and they're fairly new, but I mean we've seen, I mean, we almost got a Wonder Woman show with a character that wasn't even out yet, but whenever they announced the show, so I mean they've been known to be experimenting with newer characters here recently. So. Yeah. I think the Red Lanterns would be really cool to see as the villains.
And then the couple that I found that were interesting were the Manhunters, which are kind of similar to the Martian Manhunters in the comics.
They're based on them.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Empire of Tears, which kind of deals with, like, dark magic. They went up against the Elders of Oa in the beginning. So they could go a couple of different routes with this show. But I think this could be the project to finally kind of redeem the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, and the Manhunters, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're sort of more of like a robot or android race that were like the idea. Like, they were pre-Lantern. They were created by the same folks, just they didn't work out as well. So, yeah, and then the Empire of Tears, they do something with dimensions.
Yeah, it's like dimension hopping, dark magic.
So having that and having them be able to jump between dimensions, that could explain how they're in different eras of time.
That could totally be it. I didn't even think about that. That could be a really good idea.
Manhunters, same thing, because they're androids. They don't die unless you kill them.
Yeah, for sure.
And then if they go Red Lantern route, then they could have it where maybe it kind of has existed. Like, maybe it's one of those things where a universe has to have balance. Maybe you had to have the Red Lanterns at the same time as the Green Lanterns. Who knows?
The Force.
Yeah, right? So, no, I'm excited for this show. I think it's going to be cool. I think it's, like you said, maybe a moment for Green Lantern to kind of get redeemed in the eyes of DC fans for live action. I'm not saying like the Green Lantern character or lore, because that within itself is very cool. But it's also a moment, not going to lie, for Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti to go, no, we can do a good Green Lantern.
For themselves.
I think it's also fairly possible. And I noticed that there was no time for Snyder Cut rant in our rundown, which is weird. But I'm actually not. But I think it's very possible that there was studio meddling with the Green Lantern movie, similar to what we've seen in different scenarios that I won't discuss because we'll be here for another 45 minutes. But you know.
The Green Lantern show isn't using 2 of the most prominent, like, well-known lanterns. It's Hal Jordan and
John Stewart.
Yes, Jon Stewart. They're not using them, I assume, because they're saving them for future movies.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yes. Well, what's interesting is they are using Sinestro, though.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a big one.
The biggest Green Lantern villain out there, right? Or close to it.
Yeah. No, I would say he is the Green Lantern villain. So.
Right,
yeah.
sure.
And then mentioning, I will, like, slightly off topic, but mentioning the whole John Diggle grabbing the ring for 5 seconds. Wasn't he supposed to pop up in some of the Arrowverse shows this year?
I think he's showing up in all 4.
Right.
Except for Supergirl.
So I wouldn't be shocked if they played with the Green Lantern stuff in the
Arrowverse. They're doing something. Yeah.
And we actually
I just really hope the show does Green Lanterns justice. That's all I hope.
I think they will. I mean, like, Berlanti has had about a decade to figure this stuff out. So
right.
I feel like he's been thinking about this for a while. He's like,
think so.
I'm gonna prove them wrong.
For sure.
Yeah, and also, quick side note about the Green Lantern movie before we go on. The fact that Taika Waititi is in it is just hysterical to me, because I didn't realize that at all until, like, after I saw Ragnarok and after I saw him as Korg and everything.
Well, how do you think they're going to do the Green Lantern suits on this? Do you think they're going to do...
Oh, God. I would guess a mix of real life and CGI.
Yeah.
That's just a off the bat guess, no inside knowledge or anything. I really hope so, because please don't make it super suit green or animated.
Oh man, yep. Ryan Reynolds killing it as Deadpool with the Green Lantern references.
Yeah, no, the best one was the post credit scene from Deadpool 2 of him shooting the old version of himself approving.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I died.
Yeah.
I have
Canada.
I have never laughed more in the movie theater than I did in that very moment. I was crying. It was, oh my gosh, that was
amazing.
That was so funny. I hope Marvel kind of gets their stuff together and gets Deadpool 3 rolling here soon.
Well,
I know they keep saying that they're working on it, but I want to see.
They have writers and Reynolds can come back. Yes.
I want to see release date. I want to see people on set. Because I mean they've been saying this ever since they bought Fox. So I'm not ready to believe it yet until there's people on set and they're filming it. For me, because I'm really worried about Deadpool at Disney. Like super worried.
Honestly, with Ryan Reynolds, I'm not. I feel like he's gonna make sure.
Hopefully.
I was just gonna say, I think as long as Reynolds is involved, Deadpool's in good hands.
And I'm big Bob's Burgers fan, so the fact that the writers come from there, I'm like, yes.
That should be a good sign. Awesome. Yeah.
Very excited.
Anyway, going back to DC, any more Lantern talk? Or I think
I don't think so, but kind of in that same realm of Berlanti stuff, we did get a trailer for the new season of Legends of Tomorrow, which is one of my absolute favorite Arrowverse shows, because that is just a show where they're like, yeah, we're going to do what we want.
I wish more of them would do that.
Right? This feels like a comic book show, because every season it is crazy in a new way. And this season we have aliens. And it's not your Supergirl type aliens. This is just weird, crazy aliens. We got like a brief glimpse of them, and they look way more practical effects than commuter animated, so I'm really excited about that. We also got our first look at the new character, which is cool. They announced during DC Fandom actually that they were going to have kind of a new character, a new legend join the group, and she has this tie to aliens, and she's played by Lizeth Chavez, and the character's name is Esperanza Spooner Cruz. We don't see her do much in the trailer, but she is with the Legends on one of their missions. It's a mission where Rory takes control, so, explosions are inevitable. But last season actually ended with Sarah Lance's character getting abducted by aliens about 10 feet away from the rest of her crew who didn't notice. Because they're the Legends.
Oh, God. You'd think somebody would notice.
Like her girlfriend?
Yeah, right.
Well, oops.
Yeah, so we found out at DC Fandom that we were going to still be following Sarah. She wasn't going to just disappear from the show. And we see her in I'm assuming the alien ship she gets abducted in. And she's not alone. Gary is there. Because of course he is. He's Gary. Of course he got abducted by aliens too. So Yep. So we're kind of going to have, it looks like Legends dealing with things on two fronts. They're going to be trying to get Sarah and I guess Gary back, but they're also going to be having to deal with the fact that there are aliens throughout the timeline somehow. So I'm so excited because, like I said, this is the comic book show of we're going to do crazy stuff because we feel like it because we can. So no, this looks to be just like an awesome season 6. They've been great the last like 4 or 5 seasons, and so this is just a really excellent addition, and that is going to premiere Sunday, May 2nd. So
I really need to go back and watch Legends of Tomorrow because it seems like a show that I would absolutely adore, but I just haven't. I watched the first season, and that was pretty much it.
That's not the season to watch. Season 1
yeah.
Great. Season 1, it feels like they're trying to fit more of the Arrow mold. They're not a show that is like Arrow at all. They start getting better. They start like getting it together in season 2, but season 3 is really where it kicks off, and they're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they even joke in the show about not wanting to be in the crossovers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
wow.
And then I think they said that in one of the crossovers, because I would always come back and watch most of the crossovers. But what was I? Constantine. I loved the NBC Constantine show.
Yep.
And so I can't believe that I didn't go like I didn't get my stuff together and watch it like then. You know, like I was like, okay, Constantine's on the show now, so I gotta get caught up. But and I've heard great things about him in that show too.
He's fantastic. He was a great addition to the show, just because he fits that misfit vibe to it. And cover your ears, Bryce, because this is spoilers. Oh. But we're gonna see something new that we haven't really seen in Constantine before. We're gonna see Constantine happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
we'll see how long that lasts.
So I really have to watch this show now, huh? Like,
yep.
That is wow. That is interesting.
Yeah, because last season we kind of had like the NBC. This is the NBC Constantine. It's the same actor. It's the same kind of backstory. So we had that wrapped up a little bit in like pretty well in season 5, and so the fact that we have that wrapped up and we're gonna see him be actually very funny, because Matt Ryan said at DC Fandom he is terrified because he doesn't know what that means.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that spells doom.
Right?
For Constantine. Something terrible is going to happen.
Oh man.
So yeah, that can't last for very long.
Yeah, but no, I think Arrowverse is interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens with it down the line, just because you've got the DC stuff really ramping up at HBO Max. Like Superman and Lois feels more HBO Max than CW Arrowverse.
It's because it's financed by HBO Max.
Right.
So. Right. Yeah.
But it
basically is.
Even just the energy of the show itself feels different than the rest of the Arrowverse show.
Yeah. I think that and Stargirl as well, because I'm pretty sure that's pretty much the same scenario where it's pretty much co-financed with HBO Max. So I think every show from now on is pretty much going to be like that.
That would make sense.
So
I would love if Legends could get that budget. Every single one of their bloopers in.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So it would be great if they could get the HBO Max budget.
Oh man. You know what? I can't wait to see the bloopers from like everything that's coming out, all the Marvel stuff, the DC stuff now. Like,
how about Falcon and the Winter Soldier? That's going to be amazing.
A little bit of it in Assembled. We saw a little bit for WandaVision, so I'm hoping we see a little bit of that in...
I can't wait for the Assembled for Falcon and Winter Soldier. How many times Anthony Mackie's going to cut that check?
Oh man, but yeah, so that's kind of our news for more of the Arrowverse stuff, but we still have got some really exciting DC stuff coming in. Black Adam has begun filming.
Can you believe it? I think I sent you guys in the chat a screen grab from a Slash Film article where they talked about how Dwayne Johnson was being cast as Black Adam, and the article came out in 2007.
People.
Like, can you believe that? And they just now started filming
when that news first came out. But
I was in the first or second grade.
Jesus. But regardless, I mean, thank goodness this movie is finally starting to film. I mean, you get The Rock in a superhero movie, you'd think it's gonna be something pretty spectacular.
Yeah. And Black Adam is set up to be a very, very cool movie. I love the first Shazam, and obviously this is not the same vibe at all.
Right?
I hope. But it has that feel of, like, because Zach Levi had that same thing. Zach Levi was so excited to be a superhero. So having another actor who's so excited to play this character, you know it's going to be great. And the rest of the cast, too. They're all very excited. I feel like The Rock's like excitement and energy and passion is infectious. So I think this is going to be just excellent. The fact that they're finally getting to shoot it, you almost want to like give Dwayne Johnson a hug and be like, "You're doing it! You're doing it!"
Right? Yeah. Actually, no. You know what should happen is Dwayne Johnson to record a video of himself doing "You're Welcome" from Moana.
Yes.
What can I say except you're welcome?
You know, especially because I know Dwayne Johnson has been a huge campaigner for Henry Cavill's Superman. Yeah. So if they have a scene in Black Adam where the two of them fight, like I think I need the two of them doing a duet on that song. I
think that'd be like a little bit down the line because he's dealing with Justice Society in this first one.
For sure. Yeah. You know what? I
want to see it someday though.
Just a quick side piece. I actually really hope Henry Cavill comes back as Superman because he's a good Superman. I think he's just been given nothing to work with. So I really hope they find a way.
Richard and I are not the biggest fans of that version of Superman, but I think we can all three of us agree that he definitely has the look.
Absolutely.
And he's got that charm to him that you want in
He's got the charm, a little bit of the gravitas. I think he could do well given the right material.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have watched the show for long enough, you know my feelings on the Snyderverse. You know I'm a huge fan. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say on the matter.
As I said, Richard and I not the biggest fans of this version.
Yeah, but
totally respect people that are.
But I will say, movies like Black Adam are getting me hopeful for the future of the DCEU. Like Black Adam, Shazam 2, The Suicide Squad. I think they've got a chance to really redeem themselves.
Aquaman 2, I'm excited for too.
Yeah.
I think after last week's episode, you know, the three of us needed to have a little intervention after my 45-minute Snyder cut.
Oh, we did. We definitely did.
Did that happen? Can't imagine.
I don't remember.
Can't imagine.
But
Richard, you actually mentioned one of the movies you're excited about, and I am as well. And we got some news about it. Shazam 2.
Yes.
They've cast Lucy Liu as a new villain, Calypso.
Yeah, and you know what the best thing...
Why has Lucy Liu not been in a superhero movie yet?
You know what the best thing about that casting is? David F. Sandberg, after that it got announced, on Twitter, posted this picture of Lucy Liu. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out David F. Sandberg's Twitter. A picture of Lucy Liu from Kill Bill holding the head of Zachary Levi. I mean... Who plays Shazam. I mean, that's just absolutely perfect. And I mean... The dude has to go up against Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren in this movie. He better be ready.
I'm not sure he'll make it. Black Adam may have nothing to fight. Black Adam shows up. What happened? No, we finished that. We're done with that.
Right.
Lucy Liu tosses that. Nothing happened.
I don't know. I didn't.
But no, what's great is she's playing Calypso, and she's one of the daughters of Atlas. She's sister of Helen Mirren, and it feels like the final puzzle piece that really confirms our October exclusive about Shazam. We broke that there were going to be 3 sisters that were in more of an antagonistic role. Helen Mirren was actually their ideal for the oldest sister, so good job getting that done. Lucy Liu is. You
don't get actual casting calls that get the actual actor you're looking for very often.
Yeah, it's usually more of a prototype. And then you have Lucy Liu, who's another just great grab. And she's got so much range. She's played so many different roles. I'm personally a fan of her from the CBS Sherlock Holmes series Elementary. But yeah, Kill Bill, Charlie's Angels, she's done a lot of stuff. Like I said, why has she not been in a superhero movie before this?
The closest she's come, she directed the season opener of Luke Cage in season 2. But she directed it. She wasn't acting in it. So we finally get her acting in a superhero movie, and that's awesome.
And we actually have Rachel Ziegler playing, as of yet, an unannounced role. But The Hollywood Reporter, when they broke the news about Helen Mirren being cast as Hespera, said that their sources say she's going to be playing a sister of Hespera. So that would, like, it's the kind of, this is kind of, Lucy Liu's involvement as Calypso is the final piece of this puzzle. So I'm very excited. The fact that they're the daughters of Atlas is amazing, because Atlas is one of the, I think, gods technically, but he's actually a Titan in, like, the world of Greek mythology, but we'll kind of push that aside for the moment. But he's one of the gods that gives Shazam his power. It's one of the, like...
The letters, yeah.
Right. So it's Atlas's strength or endurance. I can't remember which one. So sorry.
I feel like it's strength. I feel like it's strength. I may have to check that out while we're looking.
That would be great. Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
But Fury of the Gods, Atlas's daughters, I feel like Shazam's going to have to deal with the fact that he's getting these powers from the gods in some way. So that should be really exciting to see. And, like, this is a great cast. I'm a huge Zach Levi fan.
Yeah.
It's Helen Mirren. How can you not love her? And then Lucy Liu. So no, this is gonna be a really fun movie. I mean, Shazam kind of for me falls in that same area as like Aquaman. It's fun. It's a fun comic book movie.
Yeah.
Here we go. I just found it. The Stamina of Atlas.
Stamina. There it is.
I thought it was something with an S.
Endurance was close. I'm taking it.
Good one.
Tester is in the chat. He says Black Adam would be absolutely screwed against the Shazam fam. I don't know, Tester. Black Adam is
something big.
Yeah.
Black Adam's pretty powerful. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, they're definitely going to be able to hold up. I think, but I don't know. Black Adam is pretty strong. I mean, they're talking about Black Adam fighting Superman.
Yeah.
You know, so, and boy, would that be a fight to see.
I will say, if they defeat him with the power of love, you are absolutely correct.
Right.
If that is the way they're going, then yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what I don't necessarily think we're gonna get Black Adam and Shazam 2 unless it's like a cameo or a post-credit scene or something. Yeah, like setting up a future movie. But man, I can't wait for Shazam 2, and man, I can't wait to see Black Adam going up against the Shazam fam. I think it's gonna be great. I think this corner of the DC universe and the DC film stuff is just they're really on point. They know what they're doing.
And the interesting thing too about that is Black Adam's coming out almost a year before Shazam 2 at this point, because Black Adam finally, July of next year. Yep. And then I think Shazam is in June of 2023, if I'm not mistaken. So that'll be really interesting to see how they work that out.
Yeah. Yes, they're supposed to be released June 2nd, 2023.
Right. Versus Shazam 2. Yeah.
No, I think, like Richard and I have said, we're not the biggest Snyder Cut people, but pushing that aside, I'm really excited for the other, like, the DC projects that are coming up, because they feel like they get what their characters are doing. You've got like James Gunn doing Suicide Squad. That feels like
that's just a James Gunn movie. Like,
yeah,
I am just so
like
excited
the perfect
for
match.
The funniest thing about me before we keep going is that everybody was talking about the first Suicide Squad as basically like the Guardians of the Galaxy of the DCEU. And now you've got the guy who directed Guardians doing the second Suicide Squad.
As like an 80s
I'm
action
so excited.
movie.
Love it.
No, so we've got that. We've got Shazam 2. We've got Black Adam. We've got the Batman, which I'm...
Aquaman 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Aquaman 2. Batman I'm excited for because...
2022 is going to be packed.
Yeah, this is, I think, the biggest like DC film year we've had. If not ever, then in a very long time.
Not only that, we get 4 DC movies and 4 Marvel movies in the same year.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Yep. Plus all the Marvel series. Like Marvel's killing it, but DC might finally kind of have their not catching up, but like them? Yeah, they're really getting there.
DC needs to stop trying to catch up and just do their own thing. I mean,
I'm
not gonna go into the whole thing. I said if you want to see my full thoughts on that, check out last week's episode.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, they just need to go full multiverse crazy, kind of like what Marvel's doing with What If. That would be the perfect DC thing for them to do, and I kind of hope that they do that post Flash.
I hope so.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that's kind of the reboot movie.
Yeah.
Reboot for DC.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think if DC focuses on their characters, because that's what Marvel started off with, if DC really focuses in on the characters, that's how you build a foundation.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like that's what they're trying to do. So I'm excited. I'm excited for DC stuff, which, I mean, I haven't been super. This is a good feeling. This is a good feeling.
Agree.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff coming at least. So I mean, well, at least one of them's got to be a hit, right?
Right? You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're taking bets on like the best of these movies, I'm thinking Suicide Squad is going to kill it, or the Suicide Squad, and I'm actually thinking either Black Adam or Shazam 2 might have a chance at it too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there you do have to remember though, Aquaman is the highest grossing DC movie ever.
It's only $1 billion movie.
Right. So.
Besides Joker.
That's not a DCU movie.
Joker made $1 billion too. Well, I thought we were talking about just DC.
Fair enough. But then, wasn't Dark Knight Rises a $1 billion movie too? I think.
Okay, fine.
Aquaman made more than that. Made more than Dark Knight Rises.
I think you're right.
I think it's
Joker?
still the highest grossing like ever from them. But so I would not count Aquaman 2 out.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like James Wan kind of, he gets the comic book movie thing.
And I guess, unfortunately, now that he's not doing Trench anymore, I guess now he's got, all of his time to focus on Aquaman, too.
Yeah. Yes, if you'd like to see our feelings
Aquaman.
about that, you can also check out next week. Or last week.
Or last week's episode, yeah.
I mean, was he ever even... I feel like Trench was just another one of those movies where they said, "Hey, you would be cool." Like,
yeah, I think DC, what they do is they announce what their projects too early when they're in development.
Yeah,
and they announce too many of them.
Yeah, and then that kind of messes them up because I don't think Marvel really announces stuff until they're 100% sure they're doing it.
The only time, this has only happened one time, the only time that Marvel has announced a movie and it didn't come out was Inhumans.
Right.
The one and only time. And that was the only reason why they were making Inhumans. For me, I don't know Kevin Feige, but for me, the only reason why they were making Inhumans is to have leverage over Fox with X-Men.
Yeah.
I could have seen that, yeah.
And then they got X-Men.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, we don't need this anymore. And so they kind of ditched
Well, Inhumans is coming back into
the show.
Yeah, and Inhumans is becoming a prominent part of the MCU again through Ms. Marvel.
For sure. And I was thinking, too, that one time that Marvel did that, they lost Inhumans, but they also gained 2 Spider-Man movies in that slate, too. So it worked out great for them. But regardless, I mean, we're getting a ton of DC in 2022, and we're getting a ton of Marvel in 2022.
Which DC movie are you guys looking forward to most for 2022? Because that doesn't include Suicide Squad.
Batman.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to say Batman.
I am excited for this version of Batman. I'm excited to see a detective-based Batman, because that is probably one of my favorite aspects of the character Batman.
Seriously.
But I really am looking forward to Black Adam.
I really hope Black Adam's good.
Yeah, it's hard, especially... because they have so many good ones. Batman, they've got Batman, they've got Black Adam, they've got the Flash, and the Flash is just a. We don't really. I mean, we kind of know, but we really don't. Like how big the Flash is going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's going to be huge, but I'm also just kind of worried about it. Because it's it's pretty clear to me that they're going to be okay. We're going to retry. We're going to hit redo.
They've also been working on this movie for 6,
but so that means
7 years.
they got to do it right. Yeah. So that means that they've got to make Flash right, because it's going to be kind of the start of whatever undo button that they're going to do.
Here's the thing I think about Flash is that...
Well, I will say really quickly, I'm biased because I'm more of a Grant Gustin Flash fan, but that's
I do like
just me.
Grant Gustin. But I think with Flash, it's not that people are going to have high expectations of it because they're excited for it. I think it's more going to be an it's about damn time kind of feeling toward it, because this movie was initially announced as part of DC's slate before Marvel even released Phase 3. So this has been in the works for 7-8 years at this point.
I love Caitlin's reaction to that.
And they've gone through 3 director changes, and they recast
more than that. I think.
They recast Barry's dad just recently to the Office Space guy. I mean, I really, really hope.
Well, Iris West left the project,
came
but then
back.
she unleft it. Yeah.
It's just been a mess behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I've also, and this is just from watching the Snyder Cut, how they did the Flash in that, it was interesting, but I don't know. I didn't like the scene as much when he saved Iris, because I was also having the moment of like, when you put her down, when it speeds up, isn't she gonna slide across the asphalt?
Right. There's a lot of
Like she didn't, which I was glad about.
I think
but I was
they're looking
a
a little too much into this here. I mean,
yeah. Bottom line, I just really hope the Flash.
Bryce. I want the physics of the Speed Force to make sense. I know they usually don't, but I wanted it.
But you want it anyway.
Yep.
As a Power Rangers fan, where nothing makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is fine.
But yeah, no, I think that might be all the DC stuff we have.
That wraps up our DC stuff.
We've got a little Star Wars to talk about.
Tester Cantlin, though, agrees with Bryce, and I think Richard that Batman is what he's looking forward to most. So, completely understand that, Tester. That is a great choice.
I did not think Robert Pattinson would be a good Batman until that trailer. I mean, that was some cool
Whenever that trailer came out, I think I straight up watched it like 15 times. Like it, I might actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I might have to watch it because I can be in a bad mood and I'll just go like, oh, I'll put on the Batman trailer and like that scene where
that's your feel good movie. The Batman trailer.
The Batman, that is going to be the feel good movie of the year. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh
my
man.
God. Forget Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right? Nope, Batman beats out Thor: Love and Thunder without question. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's great.
By their version of the Riddler. Happy movie.
Oh,
Robert
Lord.
Pattinson.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, well, that is our big DC news so far.
Lord.
We're gonna hop back over onto the Disney train with Star Wars. We have Star Wars news again.
Yes. I think we're finally getting on a good Star Wars track here for the next few weeks.
I'm so excited! Finally!
Right.
Oh goodness! And it's news about two of the live-action series that people are really looking forward to. Ahsoka, which I'm very excited for because I'm a fan of hers from all the way back in Clone Wars, and the Book of Boba Fett, which is actually our next live-action Star Wars show.
Right, later this year.
Yep. So let's talk about the Ahsoka news first, because the Book of Boba Fett is a little bit more of us getting to speculate, which will be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So the scooper, Daniel RPK,
Rickman?
so yeah, I think Daniel Rickman or Richmond has on his Patreon released casting information for two characters. The first one, 20 to 35-year-old male, youthful appearance, and he's described as strong-minded, independent, with leadership qualities. And they're looking for someone of Middle Eastern, African, Pacific Islander, Black, mixed ethnicity, or Caribbean descent to play this supporting role. It feels like Ezra Bridger. That feels like Ezra Bridger to me. I don't know about you guys.
For sure.
I mean, we know he's gonna play a role.
Some kind.
Yeah.
Well, actually, have we talked about that part yet?
Well,
do we know that? Do we?
I've kind of known it for a while.
Yeah.
It's kind of a known thing, yeah.
And then the second casting information is a 40 to 60-year-old male of any ethnicity, and they have a preference for accents in whoever takes on the volatile and complex role with a shady nature.
Interesting. Who could that be?
Feels like Grand Admiral Thrawn again. Rebels.
Really? What?
Actually,
even for somebody who isn't caught up on Star Wars totally yet, this definitely feels Thrawn-y.
Yeah. Well,
Grand Admiral Thrawn, really? In Ahsoka?
Not like he was mentioned by her or anything.
Do you think that he could have a direct tie-in to
God.
Ahsoka's character, perhaps?
The sarcasm on the show is just fantastic. I love when we get like this.
It looks like follow Ahsoka Tano on the hunt for the evil Grand Admiral Thrawn, hoping to locate the missing Ezra Bridger, the young Jedi who disappeared many years ago at the pretty much end of Rebels. It's got a little bit of a kind of ending scene that is farther down the line, which is interesting actually because Dave Filoni did not confirm when exactly that takes place in the timeline. So we could actually be covering that during Ahsoka.
Absolutely coincidentally, I think, didn't he leave with Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Yep. Space whales. The magic space whales that can use, like...
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, for those not familiar with Rebels, we're going to give you a little bit of a rundown. So, Ezra Bridger...
Spoiler warning.
Yes, but
I think we've actually already crossed that line.
Yeah.
Watch Rebels, because it's amazing. But, especially because it looks like it's going to tie in with Ahsoka to this degree. Rebels has Ezra Bridger, who is a Force-sensitive kid who ends up training to be a Jedi after, like, during the rebellion, so this is long after the purge of the Jedi. And then Grand Admiral Thrawn is a character that is actually initially was introduced in books in the Star Wars Legends stuff. He wasn't originally part of the Star Wars canon, but then he was brought into it through Rebels, and now there are, again, Thrawn books. So he's a very interesting character because he's sort of the opposite of Darth Vader. He's much more tactical and not emotional. And he's a very interesting villain. So the fact that we're going to get to see live action version of him is super exciting. The fact that we're going to see a live action Ezra Bridger is super exciting. I'm assuming we're going to see live action Sabine Wren, who is also from Rebels and is a friend and teammate of Ezra Bridger. And the end of Rebels showed Ahsoka going to Sabine, we assume, to help her find Ezra Bridger. So if she's hunting for Ezra Bridger, I'm going to guess that Sabine's going to be in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But
For
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
No,
I think that's definitely a fairly safe assumption. I feel like it's kind of weird in a way because, like, we pretty much know what the show is going to be about. And that's kind of weird to me because, like, you know, for almost everything we've talked about on the show, it's just one of those, I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see, you know? But Ahsoka seems so cut and dry. Like, we pretty much know exactly what's going to happen.
Well, we know the general idea of what's going to be the motivation. I won't say we know exactly what happened.
Well, no, I mean, we don't know any plot details.
He knows what he's doing. He's proven that, for sure.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. I think this sort of, like, initially there was the Rebels, like, sequel show they were planning, and I think this is kind of taking that over, which is really interesting because it's hopping these characters from animation into live action, and we saw them do that really successfully in the second season of The Mandalorian with Ahsoka and also with Bo-Katan.
Yeah. You know, to that point, I was really worried about Mando season 2. Like, I was just like, you know, because there was, like, announcement after announcement. This character showing up. This character showing up. How about this character?
Yeah.
And so I was really worried that it was going to be a Titans scenario where it's just going to be like, we're going to have time for any of these characters. But they did an incredible job, like, having, you know, each of the, you know, different characters show up and have a purpose within the show. They weren't kind of going on top of each other like they do in Titans. And they also, unlike Titans, are giving these characters spin-offs. So, you know, we don't have to have just the Mandalorian to spend time with these characters. I mean, I've been saying this for forever, that Titans needs at least, like, 5 spin-offs for the show to finally be good. Because there's they introduce too many characters, and they don't stop, is the problem either, because I mean, they had the season 1 characters, and then they brought in the season 2 characters, and then it's just like the season 1 characters got completely lost, and now we're gonna, in season 3, we're gonna have the season 1 characters, the season 2 characters, and then we're bringing in season 3 characters. And it's just like, when is anybody gonna have any time for this? But Mandalorian did an incredible job with this, and they've seized the opportunity on all of these spinoffs, and that's kind of something I hope they do. Titans as well, but that's besides the point. I think Star Wars and John, especially on Jon Favreau's side of things, is doing an incredible job with the whole Mandalorian storyline that they've been doing with Mando, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Rangers. I think I'm really excited for all of those shows.
For sure.
But especially Ahsoka. I think it's going to be really cool to finally see her in her own standalone project.
Yeah, I think Dave Filoni really, he really knew, like, understood Star Wars, and he was mentored by George Lucas, and they worked together. So you have this, like, you have someone who has been involved in Star Wars for a long time and understands what it is. And then you have Jon Favreau, who is a fan of Star Wars, who loves Star Wars. And the fact that they're working together on some, like, a good amount of these projects, and the fact that you have people like Deborah Chow, who worked on the first season of The Mandalorian, and she's the one who's running Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi, yeah.
So you have this kind of little world that they've built, not only for Star Wars itself, but for the people that are working on it. And again, they're fans. This really feels like kind of a renaissance period for Star Wars, because not a lot of people were huge fans of the sequel trilogy. A lot of people had issues with it. Myself included.
We won't get into those, because that's another rant. That's that's already happened in past episodes for me and Corbin. So
this to me, like the way they've done this on Disney Plus, it feels like a Star Wars renaissance to me. We're getting to explore characters that people love from the animated series, which makes the animated series get pulled into being relevant for the Star Wars canon in a way that I don't think they really were before. We have characters that are just completely new, like The Mandalorian, and we get to explore these different corners of the Star Wars universe that has existed for so long and is beloved by so many people. So I'm very excited for it. I can't wait to see how they bring these animated characters and this story that was started in the animated world to life in live action. I'm curious to see what changes they make to certain parts of the characters and certain parts of the story.
I'm so sorry. I just got a really loud notification that somebody just subscribed, and it was so loud in my ear. I think it popped up on the screen.
Thank you for subscribing, Nerdette's Newsstand. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I need to figure out how to turn that down. Oh my gosh. Wow. I'm so sorry.
And that was my one comment on all the Star Wars stuff. If you need a franchise to have a rebirth or, to be good again, give it to Jon Favreau at this point, because he kicked off the MCU. He's revolutionizing Star Wars.
Yep.
And I mean, just give it to Favreau and be done with it.
100%. I totally agree. Favreau and Filoni just feel like the dream team for Star Wars right now.
For sure.
And so that's kind of our big Ahsoka stuff. Hopefully we'll get more. I'm really looking forward to getting more, because she is for sure one of my favorite characters, because we've seen her from Padawan to essentially samurai version of a Jedi Master.
And that's awesome.
Right now,
season
her
5
opening scene of Clone Wars, and she is getting really good.
Yep.
Her opening scene in Mando episode 5, season 2.
Yep.
Instantly became my favorite Star Wars moment, period. I think the finale ended up topping that, which is incredible. Like that's so quickly after it was able to be topped. But that was just so cool. I mean, just to finally see her in live action, the way that she was just like sneaking up behind people and like waving. Oh, that was so cool. And I can't wait to see more. I mean, there's gonna be an entire show of that.
Yeah.
So that is gonna be awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah, we've gotten to see her arc, like I said, from Padawan to this like samurai Jedi Master style. We've also seen her in so many different eras. We've seen her in the Clone Wars. We've seen her during the Rebellion, and now we're seeing her in post-Rebellion. So it's just, this is one of those characters where if you've watched the animated series, you love her. You've gotta. How can you not? And now she's getting introduced to the people who really only watch live-action Star Wars. It's such a cool thing to see. It's so amazing.
Absolutely.
So that is our big Ahsoka news. And we've actually got some more Star Wars news. Shocking, I know. There are rumors that some of the characters from The Mandalorian are going to show up on the Book of Boba Fett. Now, this completely makes sense. Why wouldn't you do that? Boba Fett is a spin-off of The Mandalorian, so it totally makes sense to bring in some of those characters. Mando himself is rumored to show up, as are Grief Karga, Migs Mayfield, and Cobb Vanth. Cobb Vanth, to me, is the biggest duh of all, because he also lives on Tatooine. And he's connected to Boba Fett because he had his armor. I can't wait to see their interaction.
That's going to be oh my gosh, yeah, that's going to be so I mean, Boba's going to be pissed.
Yep.
He is pretty good. Like, he is going to probably try to kill him. So I'm so excited to see Boba Fett and Cobb Vanth actually meet. That is going to be awesome. I mean, obviously we're gonna get Mando. I mean, we're gonna see Mando in all all of the Mando spinoffs. I think
And
because I mean they've said they're all going to connect.
Doing a crossover or something, right?
Yeah. They're all going to kind of come together in one big story.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for Ming-Na Wen in that series because she kills.
Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Shit.
Ming-Na Wen is like the best.
She's amazing.
She is a bona fide certified badass.
The fact that she's like essentially the co-star in this is so exciting, and we're gonna see her in Bad Batch. So like Ming-Na Wen's killing it in Star Wars.
I mean, think about this. She's Mulan. She's in Star Wars.
She's in Agents of
Marvel. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, what can't she do?
She's got the Disney trifecta.
She just needs to show up in animated MCU, and she's got everything covered.
What if?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But no, Cobb Vanth, as I said, and as Bryce said, completely makes sense. On the same planet. Why wouldn't you go there? Plus, Timothy Oliphant, why would you only have him in one episode? He absolutely killed it as Cobb Vanth.
For sure.
Grief Karga should be interesting. I'm curious if they're going to use him in the present timeline or if we could see him in flashbacks, because as of now, he's kind of keeping his own planet and Moan area safe. But originally, when we met him in the first season of Mandalorian, he worked for the Bounty Hunters Guild.
Yeah.
And Boba Fett was a bounty hunter. So them having some sort of connection, either in a flashback or having had a connection that comes back up in the present day, again, that totally tracks to me. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
For sure.
Miggs Mayfield, very fun character. We first met him in the prison episode of season 1, and we saw him return in the second season when they got the information of where Grogu was. He became such an interesting character to me in season 2. So I'm really excited to see more of him.
I'm kind of thinking that he might be a regular on Rangers of the New Republic. It seemed like that season 2 episode was kind of like a backdoor pilot.
Well, they
said
of
what
they kind of had
a Rangers show would be.
Well, they kind of have the excuse of him. They faked his death, remember, because he was a prisoner and they didn't want him to be a fugitive, and they also didn't want to get in trouble for essentially letting him break out. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him be kind of a fixture on Boba Fett in some capacity, maybe showing up for a couple episodes, because this is someone is former Empire and criminal. So him going to Boba Fett for work, that makes sense. Why wouldn't you do that? Especially if Boba Fett is going to be, as was implied by the fact that he sat on Jabba the Hutt's throne, taking over the criminal underworld of Tatooine.
That's gonna be fun. That's a really cool idea for a Boba Fett show.
And I had a question that I was just thinking about for you guys. We talked about what DC project we're most excited for. What Star Wars project are you most excited for over the next couple of years?
Ahsoka.
I think right now for me it's actually Obi-Wan, but Ahsoka might be it as a Star Wars stuff.
I feel like I've got to go besides Obi-Wan because that seems too obvious for me. Depending on who's playing Lando, I'm definitely really intrigued with the Lando show.
That could be good.
I honestly, I would like to. Oh yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I think it would be awesome if we got both, like Donald Glover, because I almost like both equally.
Yeah.
I love Donald Glover as Lando, and I love. Billy D. Yeah, thank you. I cannot believe that I just completely blanked on that. Wow. But yeah, Billy D. Williams as Lando. I mean, both of them absolutely killed it in their respective portrayals.
Yeah,
so I think it would be really cool. Like, I feel like it would be cool, kind of like Lando's how in I don't know, those movies where it's like an old man reading a story or telling a story to his grandchildren. I feel like it would be great for that to be kind of like what Lando is, but then whenever he's actually telling the stories of his youth, then it goes to Donald Glover.
Yeah.
I think that.
Or if it was some kind of central story that connected to his past, so we kept seeing flashbacks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really, and I feel like that would be so Lando to have them both. I feel like that only kind of works with Lando. I
could see them doing that with Lando.
Yep.
And so I'm just really, because they never said who was playing Lando.
Yeah. They never did.
So that kind of makes me wonder, are they doing both? Will both Billy D and Donald Glover be playing Lando? I think that would just be so cool.
No, that would be amazing. No, I think Ahsoka is the biggest one for me. I'm curious about the Rangers of the New Republic. I want to see what they're going to do with that. because I think they, based on certain things that have happened, are going to be changing it up a little bit.
For sure.
Not going to get into that.
Yep, but
but no, I mean, I'm looking forward to all the Star Wars stuff. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I'm looking forward to all of it. I know that Andor isn't one that is as loved on this show, but I think that the fact that Star Wars is going to have a spy show is super cool.
yeah, the fact that Obi-Wan's more than likely going to be in it definitely gets me a little more excited, but it's just still kind of like Andor. Like, do we really need an Andor show?
I am
like,
bummed that Alan Tudyk isn't going to be in it.
Yeah, what the heck? Like, that's so stupid. Like, what? Like, didn't they have him on stage with Diego Luna, like, at Star Wars Celebration for Ando at some point, and then now he's not going to be in the show? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Had to get it out.
But that's just so dumb. So dumb. Yeah, Andor stupid. No, sorry. Sorry, no.
Well, what I was going to say is, as I'm sure anyone who's been watching this notices, I'm a fan of when franchises kind of go into a direction that they haven't gone into as much. So the fact that we're going to get a spy show is super cool to me. The fact that
look,
Ahsoka's going to be bringing all these characters that I really enjoy from the animated side into live action, and just making that side relevant so you guys have to watch it.
Yeah, and I think
jokes aside on Andor, I am a huge Rogue One fan. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies. So I'm definitely gonna of course watch Andor. But I think it's just weird, kind of the way they're going about it. And,
it's a bummer.
And it's just and it's just a weird. It's still just a really weird show to do. You know, it's just like we gotta do an Andor show. You know, it's just kind of weird.
And I think going off what Caitlin said, not just for Star Wars, but like all the stuff we've been talking about today, all the Marvel stuff, DC stuff, Star Wars, I love the fact that the next couple of years, there are so many projects that are going to get to explore so many different genres, areas of their respective franchises. I mean, they may all be, confined to DC, Marvel, or Star Wars, but we're getting dozens of like unique stories and storytelling methods. And I love that's where filmmaking is going right now.
Especially with these, like, just franchises that have existed for so long.
Exactly.
You're not, it's this fresh feeling to it, because you do always have people going, oh, there's superhero fatigue. I completely disagree, because if there was, why do we still have all this
fatigue
stuff going
where?
On? Like... Yeah. So I disagree, but I feel like one of the ways to combat that is the fact that they are exploring different areas and different genres and different takes on these superheroes. I mean, as I've said, Richard and I, not the biggest fans of Snyderverse, but it is a different version of these characters. It is a unique version. So anytime you have that risk involved, you got to give them props.
Totally.
Even if you're some of the people that don't like it as much, you still have to kind of take this moment and go, you tried something new.
You got to give it props.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then just going back to this rumor about Boba Fett, which character are you guys most excited to see show up if they do?
I'll leave that to you guys, because you guys are the better Star Wars expert, but I'm just excited for Boba in general.
I mean, Mando.
You watched The Mandalorian, and these are all Mandalorian characters. I'm not letting you have the out there, Richard. You have to pick.
Oh, my God. I'd say probably Cobb.
Me too.
If I had to pick. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, I feel like Mando's a little too easy, because it's just like we saw so much of the two of them in Mando. So, you know what? I think Cobb is it. I think Cobb Vanth, I think that's got to be it. I mean, that's going to be such a cool interaction.
Cool. Cobb Vanth and Mayfield for me are the two really big ones, because, like I said, Mayfield became so much more interesting to me in season 2, as he had this... You for the first time, you really kind of empathize with someone from the Empire, because they were human in a way. They're doesn't matter if it was the Empire, if it was the Republic, if it's the New Republic. There's still people who hate you because you're taking resources, and the fact that he was pissed because that guy didn't care that his unit got killed.
For sure.
This is just a character you don't see as often within the Empire. And that's one of the things I've loved about The Mandalorian, is you're seeing kind of these versions of characters and different types of characters that aren't necessarily what you see as much in Star Wars. Stepping away from the actual real world situation, I am kind of bummed that Cara Dune's not going to be there anymore because it's not a character. It's not an archetype you see very often.
Yeah. And they definitely had a lot planned for her character, and I think story-wise,
as we said, we're stepping away from the real-world situation here. We're specifically talking about within the world of Mandalorian.
That is a major problem. Having the character completely removed from the show. I think they should have gone the recast route. I don't think that they will. I think they can bring in a similar character and kind of take care of it. I think Rangers of the New Republic is an excellent place to bring in a character that has a similar archetype, because you don't get to see like women that are the muscle that often, and that look like they're the muscle.
Yeah, that you could tell.
Yeah, and going back to when Bryce said that Mando might be one of the characters he's most looking forward to, I feel like that's going to be used as a setup for season 3.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
the way they set up
it has to be. I mean, originally people were questioning whether or not this was season 3 because they called it the Book of Boba Fett, and the Mandalorian was in chapters. I was actually really worried about that because I'm like, if this is season 3, then there will be riots, especially with the finale of Mando. It's just like, you can't just not have Din Djarin be the main focus anymore after that.
Right.
And so it's just like, I'm so glad it ended up being a spinoff, because not even really because I didn't want it to be season 3, but because of the fact that it's just like there was gonna be like outrage, like, if they didn't have Din Djarin be the main character anymore. So, but yeah, I'm glad we're getting both.
Have both.
Yeah,
have both. Why not?
Right.
No, I'm excited. I think that, to me, it just makes sense to set up season 3, and you also then have the potential of having Boba and Fennec pop into season 3 of Mando in some way. So no, I'm excited for Star Wars. Kind of similar to Marvel and DC, we got a lot of content coming. We have just, they, like I said earlier, it feels like the renaissance of Star Wars. They are really diving into all these different parts of the Star Wars timeline. We've got the Acolyte going all the way back to
that's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, kind of the end of the High Republic, which is the publishing initiative they have going on. You've got Mandalorian, which is post the original trilogy.
Yeah,
you got the Bad Batch, which is really exploring what happens right when the Empire takes over, which I don't think we've really seen. We haven't seen a show or a movie that really gets into the nitty-gritty of the Empire just took over. What does that mean?
Right. That'll be big.
Yeah, so... No, I'm excited for Star Wars, I'm excited for DC, and I'm excited for Marvel. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about on this show in future episodes. Fingers crossed that we never have that Star Wars drought again that we had for a while.
I think we might after Bad Batch, because we've got quite a while in between Bad Batch and Boba.
Yeah, but stuff is going to pick up with filming.
Right, so behind the scenes news. But yeah, no, we're not going to be at a loss to talk about for a while, because during the gap for Marvel is Bad Batch. During the gap for Bad Batch is Marvel. We've got DC projects coming out almost all year. I mean, literally, just in terms of Marvel, we're good for 6 months. So, like, from June 11th to the end of the year for Marvel is going to be bonkers.
Yep.
Well, is that going to conclude our Star Wars discussion for today?
I think that wraps it up.
Anyone in the chat has anything to add first, we'll take Star Wars, DC, or Marvel if you've got anything else you want us to talk about or anything that you got questions about. We would love to see it, but I think that is all of the big kind of news information that we wanted to cover this week. Like I said, a lot of stuff happened, and these are the big things.
For sure. But... before we wrap up, is there anything that we need to plug, or social media?
We have
or anything?
Our watch along party continuing this Thursday for Falcon Winter Soldier episode 5. Me and Caitlin are on it.
10 ultimate episode. Stuff is gonna get intense.
Oh yeah, and it's gonna be weird because I don't know what we're gonna do for the watch along for a few weeks there, because there's a big gap between Falcon Winter Soldier and Loki. So we'll see what happens.
There's plans.
I'm sure Brax and Joe have something planned.
Well, yeah, I'm excited to hear what those plans are after,
Yeah, me too.
after the show's done.
Me too.
But, we've got our social media handles down in the description below if you want to follow us on Twitter. We've also got plenty of other shows. I mean, we got the watch along, we got the New Cap recap.
Best
New Cap recap.
Richard.
Thank my wife for it. I will never stop.
And we've
giving her
got
credit.
Power Rangers. Yeah, we got Power Rangers, Star Trek, wrestling shows for you all to watch. We got something for everybody. So be sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications for everything coming on to the Illuminerdi here in the near future.
And pop back here next week.
Oh,
so
for
that you
another
can,
episode of It's All
so
Connected.
you can see more of us.
We always
talking about
Caitlin's
DC,
on top of
Marvel, and Star Wars.
We never plug our own show.
And please join the chat so we can interact with you. We love it. Thank you so much, Tester Cantlin. You have been the MVP of the chat tonight, without question.
Tester has been with us throughout the whole show. Thank you so much, Tester.
Happy birthday. Thank you for joining us on your birthday. That is the greatest gift to us.
Yes. I feel like we were all saying the same thing to Tester all at once there, but
thank you, Tester.
Yes, thank you. With that being said, I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much for watching It's All Connected, and remember, here at the Illuminerdi, we're always watching.
See you guys.
Take care.